All right, everyone. I'm here with Michael, who's an awesome member of our Pro Wholesaler VIP program. He's based in the Denver, Colorado market. He's the owner of MDA Home Buyers, MDA Home Partners, and he's shared some amazing wins in our communities lately. So I wanted to bring him on to share some of the highlights, including earning $135,000 in the last 8 months, which is phenomenal. He's also a licensed agent who's been able to create multiple income streams, multiple streams of income through working this process and working with one particular buyer who's been doing a lot of business with. So first off, thanks so much, Michael, for being here. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. You definitely got a lot going on. So, yeah, first off, just kind of wanted to start by asking a little bit about your background and how you got into the industry and kind of what you're doing before joining the Pro Wholesaler VIP program.
Yeah, so I was in community corrections for about 13 years. For the better half of that, I was a director of a cognitive therapy program. So guys getting out of jail, coming out of prison, transitioning, they'd come to our programs. We'd try to get them settled, kind of back on their feet before they released back into the community. But towards the end of that career, I was just kind of looking for something different. I kind of have a typical story to most people, just kind of tired of the rat race, kind of not being in control of, just like what I do on a daily basis, and kind of always having to ask permission to take days off and do certain things, and just wanted a little bit more freedom. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and doing this kind of freed up my ability to be around them a little bit more and have more of a flexible schedule. So I started doing the real estate skills process in December. I think I came on board and went through the class, got through, was done with the class around February. Then I started putting offers in March. Yeah, just looking for a different route in life and career wise. So, I did both my job and wholesaling for about probably 6 months. And I think I did around like 80,000 bucks just doing it on the side. And then I had enough of a proof of concept where I was like, all right, let's see if we can do this full time. And then in the last, I think 2 or 3 months since I quit my job, I've done, what is it, like another 55, 60, somewhere around there, $1,000 in wholesale deals. And so it's definitely grown into more than I imagined it would be. Um, and I still remember, I think when we first signed up for this real estate class, we only had a certain amount of money in our savings account, and we spent most of it buying the course and going through it. And there was a lot of nerves involved. And I even asked the guy who was pitching it to me, like, will I at least get one deal? I wanted to at least make sure I got my money back on what I spent for the course. And it has obviously been a good investment for me, and really opened up some new doors and new lanes for, just a different type of lifestyle.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, it definitely sounds like it was a great investment, but of course, it was you who took the action, you who put all those deals together, who took that information and really ran with it. So I think a lot of people can resonate with your motivation and your why, including myself, of getting into real estate, knowing that there was a better way, to live our lives, have a more fulfilling and more flexible career that allowed that freedom, to spend more time with our families, to create more income and just kind of live life on our own terms. So, given that was a big part of your motivation, has that really translated into reality as have you shifted from, doing it part-time and really making a very respectable side income, 80,000 in 6 months to, going full-time and then hitting, 55,000, I think you mentioned in just another 2 months. So how's that translated into the lifestyle piece?
It's been good. Anybody who has young kids, that they get sick a lot, and it's nice not having to call my boss and kind of have a side of guilt trip with missing a day. If we want to go on a family trip, we don't have to ask for permission kind of from our boss, things like that. So as far as like the flexibility in my schedule has has really opened up. Now I still work a lot, you know, and I'm still kind of working sporadically throughout the day. You know, it's not traditional hours. It's not like you kind of sit down and work 9 to 5 or anything, but you know, we'll work a couple hours here, a couple hours there, work into the night sometimes, you know, because it never stops. The deals never kind of stop moving. And so you got to keep up and kind of work different hours and stuff like that. So, but as far as like what I'm looking for in a lifestyle, the flexibility with my schedule has definitely opened that up for me for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I definitely feel the same way. It's more motivating to work harder because you know that there's really no ceiling to your earnings. The work itself can be more fulfilling. So that's really awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. So as far as joining the Pro Wholesaler program, you obviously took the leap of faith, investing some of the last of your savings into the program. So I mean, how was it when you joined? And then you said it took a couple months to really absorb the info and just take it all in. And then ultimately, once you hit the ground running, I mean, can you maybe speak to your experience just going through the program, using all the resources and tools, absorbing that training, and then ultimately putting that into practice?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the course helped me just have a strong kind of foundation as I went into my market and kind of learn the nuances that are specific to my market. And you know, and the course even says, you know, you're going to kind of learn more once you start doing it and really getting out into the field and learning on the go. But what this course did was it gave me a very good like foundation to jump off from. It gave me tips and hints that I would have otherwise never known, or it would have taken a lot longer for me to kind of learn these things. Um, but running comps, understanding repair costs, understanding some of the little details that go into a fix and flip that maybe you wouldn't initially thought of, learning how to use transaction brokers and things like that, just give you a good kind of starting point, gives you a lot of the verbiage that's used within the field so that when you do talk to people, you come across competent, like you know what you're talking about. And so it's a great jumping off point. Um, and it gives you a strong foundation to really to use as kind of your jumping off point when you first get started. And then you take what you learned in the course and you take what you learned through um, experience in the field, and then you can kind of combine it um, to make it something that's successful for you personally in whatever market you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it gives you a solid foundation, and then once you put it into practice, you learn more about your market. You learn by doing. I really firmly believe in real estate. You can get as much education as possible, but putting it into practice, taking action is really where the rubber meets the road, and you can really learn a lot from people in your market, the agents you call, the cash buyers you're speaking with, and vetting and interviewing. So a lot of that will come from just the dialogue and really doing the thing, right? Sending those offers, following up, seeing a transaction through from opening escrow, all the way to the finish line. So,
For sure.
so that's awesome. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about the deals that you have done. It's been, a very, very strong result that you've shared in our communities. I think you did mention you found one buyer that's been buying most of your, if not all of your deals, and are paying you, $10,000 around for your wholesale fee for each deal. And in addition, since you have your license, you're able to relist some of those opportunities, after they've fixed them up, they've renovated those properties and then brought them back to market. They're actually giving you the relist. So you're able to earn a real estate listing commission. And they're also paying you a salary or a part-time salary for managing the renovation itself. So could you speak to that, how you've created, 3 solid income streams really just from working the same process?
Yeah. So I've done 7 wholesale deals total in the 8-month period. And I've done it with 2 different main buyers. The first buyer that I was on, I've kind of transitioned away from, and now I'm with kind of just the one sole buyer. But I've done 7 deals. I average a little over $19,000 per deal currently. Um, and a lot of it came with just meeting good people that were able to help me out. When I first got started, I was kind of on my own, writing offers up, putting assignable language in there, and then I ran into a real estate agent, and he was able to actually help me with a few tricks of the trade where you can kind of remove that assignable language, which helped me kind of have a better and stronger offer. And he also had a connection to a buyer. And so the first 4 deals that I did were through his buyer, where he would get the buyer's commission on the agent side. I would get the wholesale fee. And then obviously the buyer would get the property and be able to fix it up and flip it. And then as I was just kind of growing and talking to more people, another real estate agent gave me a lead of the buyer that I currently work with. He had looked up on the MLS how many, properties he had purchased cash, and this guy, I think he does like 60 to 70 homes per year, fix and flips. He probably manages 20 to 30 rentals. And so I got his phone number, called him up. At first buyers are a little bit hesitant. They get a lot of phone calls from wholesalers. And it's kind of hard to get their attention a little bit. But I was able to just be proactive enough and kind of consistent enough with him where I eventually really learned the details of his buying criteria. And he had really good buying criteria. He buys in bulk, and so he's able to get things done at cost. He pays all cash, so he doesn't have any loans to pay back as far as interest rates. So he really is the ideal type of buyer where you can put in higher offers than most people that are, paying full cost for renovations and doing hard money loans and stuff. Those guys can be a little bit harder for you to be competitive in the market going up against these cash buyers. And so I knew he was a really strong lead, just based on his buying criteria. The margins were just slimmer than most people. But when I first met him, it definitely came with a lot of learning curve. There was a handful of properties I got under contract that he didn't take, but as we grew and communicated more, I got closer and closer and closer to kind of what he's really looking for. And I just took the feedback he gave me. And then my last 3 deals over the last couple of months have all been from him. And I think those 3 deals got me 80 grand. He's done 80,000 for 3 deals. One was a scrape, and then 2 fix and flips. And because of how I performed during those deals, doing the small things for him, he would say, "Hey, I'm interested in this house, but I need a sewer scope done." I would just go and get the sewer scope done. I would just pay for it, and I think he really respected that. I think a lot of wholesalers will kind of nitpick over, a couple $100 here and there, where it's like, if you're just flexible and you just pay those things, don't worry about couple $100 when you're bound to make 10, 20 grand on a deal, and so, not giving him any kind of pushback with stuff like that, always being willing to kind of go the extra mile and get something done for him, went a long way. So then when he had a position open up for kind of an assistant role to help manage some of the projects he called me and asked me if that was something I'd be interested in. So I went, met with him, we kind of negotiated certain things, decided that, any house that I brought him, he'd give me a $10,000 finder fee. He would let me list about 6 to 8 properties for him in the next year at a 1% mark. And then he was going to pay me, 40 grand to do just part-time like management stuff. Go, take pictures of the property, send me updates, figure out where this is at, go hook up a lockbox, just small things, but things that have been very educational for me and just kind of learning the process from start to finish if I ever want to get into fix and flips. And so it's really turned into a great relationship. And then not only that, but even when I bring him a deal, there's, buyer commission that I still have access to. So if I'm negotiating a deal that's good enough where I can get a buyer's commission and get a $10,000 finder's fee, there's a lot of money to be made there. But I also have a lot of leverage for negotiation, whether I want to negotiate the $10,000 finder fee and tell them, hey, don't worry about the finder's fee and I can just keep my whole commission. Or if I want to reduce my commission to 0 or 1% in order to get the deal done, I know on the back end I'm still getting that $10,000 finder fee. And so it just gives me a lot of leverage and a lot of maneuvering when it comes to negotiation. If I'm close on a deal, but maybe just on the outside, I can kind of move some things around to get it done.
Yeah, that's really awesome how you're able to, take the opportunities out there and really kind of customize it to every deal. Every deal is unique and there's a different situation. Some might be a little more risky because there's more rehab involved, for example. So because you have your license and because, you being a flexible person and really catering to the buyer, obviously you're paying for some of these reports ahead of time, the sewer scope report, without obviously the guarantee of a deal closing, but you're going that extra mile, like you said. And so having those options allows more deals to happen. And That I just think that's very commendable. And then as far as having your license, sounds like that does give you a lot of flexibility. I definitely agree with that, being licensed myself. Was that something that you got after starting this process, or did you say you had your license before like joining the program, or was that something new that you decided to get along the way?
Yeah, it's something new that I decided to get along the way. I just saw the opportunity there, and even when I was working with an agent, it was a good connection because he at the time had the buyer. But I kind of saw this chunk of money that was, that I could do, and so not to be like on the greedy side of things, but just kind of identifying an opportunity to kind of expand my horizons and to, grow the business a little bit in a positive direction. And so I just saw this, like, I could easily get an agent, become a real estate agent and kind of have more negotiating power, because the agent I was working with, he's trying to make money too. And so, I can't negotiate on his behalf all the time for a deal. I mean, he was open to it at times, but I don't know. I just felt like once I got my own license, then I could write my own offers. I can kind of just have more control over it, and also an opportunity to be more negotiable and maybe even make a little extra money on, on certain deals.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's a great idea. It gives you a lot of options, the flexibility. And this is an entrepreneurial industry. So it's cool that you're able to find different ways to really maximize every single deal and just cater to what your buyer's looking for. So definitely something that I think our audience should take a note of. And, as far as like getting your license, something that I noticed was that, hey, there's kind of a gap in the education process when you get your license. Like they don't really teach you how to comp properties or write offers or lock up deals, obviously for investment purposes and things like that. Like, did you also find that to be the same way? You're licensed in a different state, but was that part of the education that you saw after getting your license, or getting it more from the program itself?
I definitely learned how to comp properties more from the program. Getting that foundation was definitely taught more in the real estate skills program than I did getting my license. And even like the contracts you're writing and the, amendments and things like that, you kind of learn just through experience. They're not hard to do. I mean, it's set up in a way where it's basically just fill in the blank. You want to obviously know the verbiage and what things are so you can explain it to people. But um, again, in real estate, I really feel like when you're willing to take that leap and actually start the process, it's scary at times in different areas, but it's not as hard as you think it's going to be, and you can catch on pretty quick. And so I would say I would agree with you though. Most of the stuff that I've learned that is relevant to what I do is outside of getting your license.
Totally, totally. Yeah, a lot of it's you learn as you go. You kind of have to self-educate. Yeah, getting your license doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to transact. So a lot of it comes from mentorship, from programs, and just from getting out there and doing the thing like you've been doing.
Sure.
Did I'd love to hear if you have a deal that maybe is like a highlight deal that you'd love to share, maybe some of the details, kind of just how it went, if there were any challenges along the way, just kind of like from an inside look at a deal that you would wanted to highlight.
Yeah, sure. So my most recent deal, I got a $35,000 wholesale fee on it. The home was listed at 900,000. It had an ARV of probably around 1.35 to 1.4. Um, Mainly a cosmetic fixer. There's definitely some heaving in the basement floor that needed to be, dug out and refinished. But other than that, it was a pretty solid house. They had, new roof on it, new driveway, good landscaping. So there's a lot of positives in there. Um, and they had it listed at 900,000. And I actually came across it. I had just started looking for the day, and it was the first house I came across. And I just knew I knew this was a sweet deal that I needed to jump on. So I called the agent. Was luckily the first person that had called her, and I put in an offer. So I told her we would do 875 with no buyer commission, which basically gave me a full asking price of 900,000, knowing that I could sell it for probably 925 is what I was thinking. Um, and so kind of had to press her a little bit on it. There was a little bit of a delay, and I kind of had to really keep in contact with them, like, hey, let's get this deal done, because I knew it was a good one, and I knew if it waited on the market a couple more days, I'd probably get outbid at some point. And so was able to put a little bit of pressure on the situation, and kind of be meaningfully pushing it forward instead of just kind of laying back waiting for the phone call to happen. And so we finally got it under contract at 875, no buyer's commission, 14-day close, all that good stuff. And then I sent it to my buyer. Again, he had me do a sewer scope, so no problem. I did that. He said he would do 910 for it, so I knew I had a ton of negotiation room on it, so I wasn't gonna fight with that. I mean, 35 grand is fine by me. And so we locked it up. And now one thing that we do here is we don't put assignable language in our contracts. We do a hold open at closing. So we go to the closing table, they hold title open, they just transfer it from me and then to my end buyer. So I sign, buying contract, and then I sign selling contracts, and it goes to him. And so, it was a pretty smooth transaction. Again, I was able to leverage that buyer's commission. I had the agent that was the seller agent be the transaction broker for me. And she gave that savings to her customers. So I was able to offer 875, but it's really more of a 900,000 offer. But all that cushion goes to me, So, yeah, it was just a smooth deal. And then, we got under contract, everything went well, it closed. My buyer asked me to ensure that the swamp cooler got drained and the sprinkler system got blown out. So I did all that. I paid for it, just as another token of my appreciation for what he's doing. So I'll take on the small things, and hopefully it'll lead to bigger deals with him down the future.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And then from the moment you saw that property to the day that it closed, like how long did that take?
I would say from, it took me about 24 hours to get it under contract. And then we closed 14 days later. So probably 15, 16 days, maybe.
Yeah, that's a pretty quick timeline, to be making, $35,000. So that's pretty sweet, huh? So great job on that. Yeah. Way to move on it.
I did a deal with him a week prior to that for 10. So I did 45 grand in like 3 months or 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah. 3 weeks. That's phenomenal. Yeah. Way to go. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing that. We love deals, just talking numbers, hearing about different situations. Sounds like that was a smooth one. So way to keep delivering for your buyer. It's clear that they value what you provide for their business. You're finding great deals, which sounds like there's a very healthy margin on for them too, even after paying you a very handsome wholesale fee. And it sounds like they're going to just continue to be very happy you bringing them deals, and they're going to continue to compensate you for your efforts. So really, really stoked to hear that. So, just to kind of wrap things up and change gear, what's next for Michael? So, you've had some success, you're ramping things up. You've gone full time in real estate investing and wholesaling. So are you kind of looking to take it to fix and flipping yourself, buy and hold, really ramp up the wholesale side of things? Like, what do you see as the next chapter for Michael?
Yeah, so I would really love to add one more buyer like the buyer I currently have. I have a partner that I've brought on board and kind of taught wholesaling to. And so while I'm working with this one buyer pretty consistently, I'm training them up on how to also find wholesale deals. So if I can find another buyer, then any deal he brings me, we'll split the wholesale fee. But it's kind of this passive income almost, to the point where it's like I'm not even looking for the deals. My partner is. But because I have connections to the buyer, I get to be able to split the fee. But really, my main focus is just on this one buyer and kind of fulfilling the workload that he has for me. I think next year his goal is to purchase 70 houses. I'm hoping to bring him 20 of those. So if I can do that, 20 to 24 houses to him next year at a $10,000 at least finder's fee, and that's with no buyer commission. That's a good chunk of change. And then on top of that, I'm hoping to do probably $60,000 to $70,000 worth of listing fees. So any house that I list for him, I'm hoping to make about 60 to 70 doing that. And then, I'll make the $40,000 for the part-time work that I'm doing for him. And that's really more educational stuff for me to kind of learn how he manages all these properties and kind of the steps from beginning to end. So I'm really hoping to clear about 300 grand next year is my goal. About 340,000 bucks is my goal. And from what I see, it's pretty obtainable. And then the year after that, what I would really like to get into is some short-term rentals, maybe some Airbnbs, and start spreading that out. But that's 2-3 years down the road, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Of course, it's not a prerequisite to have your license to wholesale, but clearly you're able to do a lot more. You saw the opportunity to become an agent, and now that's allowing you to create these multiple streams of income, which are amounting to multiple six figures. And it's quite empowering to know that there's a path to get there, and you sound very confident, and you do have a concrete plan to really get there. And it's a testament to see your growth just from starting out, coming in with very limited knowledge about the industry to really just ramping up, eventually taking the leap and going full time into this business, and seeing your income grow exponentially as a result of that. So that's very inspiring. And really, one of the concepts we teach here at Real Estate Skills, it's not just about wholesaling. It's about learning the business, learning what investors in your market, learning what they buy, understanding your market, so that you can roll these fees, these commissions, the wholesale profits into fix and flips, into buy and hold projects yourself. So it's awesome that you're getting paid to learn right now, which is phenomenal, literally in multiple ways. And so you can snowball that knowledge into buying these investment properties yourself, into monetizing them through sales, through short-term rentals, long-term rentals. So really, it's just the beginning for you, Michael. And that gets me really excited just to see someone really just run with it and really, really change your entire life through this process. So thanks for being an inspiration really to us all, and being a great example for many out there who I'm sure are looking to make that change as well. So again, appreciate your time today. You have any final words for those who might be looking to take the leap themselves and get started in real estate investing and join the Pro Wholesaler program?
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys. I mean, I jumped on plenty of calls when I first started, with you and some of the other members of your team, as far as, those question and answers periods where you can kind of get on, go through a comp, and we can kind of run numbers and give us feedback. Those were really valuable to me as I kind of honed in what I was doing. And so I definitely think that that's a perk of the program is that feedback that you can get. I think you guys do it twice a week. And so, that's very valuable for people just starting off. And so, I do owe a lot of thanks to you guys, because if it really was, I mean, in all honesty, if it really wasn't for you guys in your program, I wouldn't be doing this. I know that for a fact. And so it gave me a strong foundation to jump off from. And I think anybody that's willing to, take a little leap, put a little bit of money in, take this course, I think everybody's timing is a little bit different. I think I was beneficial on some of my deals coming quicker than some other people have in their careers. But if you're consistently putting an effort forward, you will succeed. You will start to see the benefit of real estate investing and things like that. Just it takes time, and I think it's very easy to get frustrated. There was definitely times where I'd go a month with no deals, and I would think, what am I doing? I quit my job. I have a family. I've made the dumbest decision of my life. But then you just keep cracking at it, keep believing in yourself, and those deals come. There's a lot of real estate out there. And so even though there's these monster companies that are eating up a lot of it, there's plenty of deals out there for people just starting off to find. You just got to be consistent and looking for them, and really putting the time and energy into getting where you want to go.
Yeah, well said, Michael. Well said. Real estate's a vast industry, especially when you're in residential housing. It's an essential need. So it's not going away anytime soon. It's an absolute, necessity for everybody. So it's great to be providing, needed housing and providing it to these investment companies to modernize and update these distressed properties and, earn a strong living out of it. So thanks for being an inspiration, Michael. We're here for you. Definitely. It's what we do. It's why we do what we do, to help change lives and get people involved. And, one of the best opportunities to create wealth and to become your own business owner and entrepreneur, live the life on your own terms like you're doing. So definitely looking forward to seeing you progress. Like I said, this is just the beginning for you. And I'm sure you're going to hit all your goals that you're setting right now. It's absolutely attainable. So we definitely look forward to continuing to work with you, Michael, and, being a part of your journey, as we have. So definitely look forward to staying in touch and keep supporting you as well.
For sure. All right. Thanks, man.
Yep. You got it, Michael. And if anyone's looking to get involved with the Pro Wholesaler program, just feel free to go to realestateskills.com and we'll give you more info. All right. Thanks, guys.